Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Claire and I put out videos about luxury bags and accessories. So if that is your thing, please click on the subscribe button, hit the notification bell and you'll know when I upload a new video. I'm going to talk about Hermes. Now, last week social media kind of exploded with this news about the Hermes lawsuit, i.e. Hermes being sued by a couple of individuals in California regarding their policy of how you can get a Birkin or a Kelly, or their alleged policy of how you go about getting a Birkin or a Kelly. Now, I actually did film a video about this on the day that the news broke, but I edited it and I wasn't that happy with it. So ultimately I decided to abandon that and to not rush out a video that I wasn't happy with, and to refilm and make some of the points that I really did want to make, which I felt I'd missed out on that other video. So that's why maybe I'm a little bit behind other YouTubers, but I wanted to be happy with the video I put out there. So that's why I'm maybe a few days later than everyone else. So obviously some of the other videos came out much faster, maybe a bit more topical, but I still feel this is a topical subject. This is still very much fresh in everybody's minds. And I have made some notes on my phone about what I wanted to talk about, so please forgive me if I keep looking down. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on the lawsuit itself. I'll just give you an overview from the news article. There are some really good videos out there that have been released already talking about what the lawsuit actually entails and commenting more about it and giving you more information. And one of the best of those is from my friend Lisa from Luxury and Life in the Middle. She put out a video where she actually had a copy of the lawsuit and she talked about what was in it and gave her sort of opinions and her thoughts about it. So I highly recommend you check out that video and I will link that down below. But just in case, just there is this small possibility that you haven't heard this. The news broke last week that Hermes is being sued over claims it refused to sell shoppers Birkin bags. And just as I say, to give you a quick overview of it, it's claimed that it unlawfully allows only customers with sufficient purchase history with the company to buy its famous Birkin bags, and that encompasses Birkin, Kelly and the quota bags basically. Two residents in California allege Hermes is violating antitrust laws by tying the sale of one item to the purchase of another. The company's sales associates are driving the scheme by pushing customers to buy shoes, scarves, jewellery and other items to gain an opportunity to buy a Birkin, according to the lawsuit. The lawsuit alleges that typically only those customers who are deemed worthy of purchasing a Birkin handbag will be shown a Birkin handbag in a private room. And it goes on to say that the lawsuit was seeking class action status for thousands of US consumers who bought Hermes goods or were asked to buy them in order to purchase a Birkin. The plaintiffs are seeking unspecified monetary damages and a court order barring Hermes's allegedly anti-competitive practices. Hermes has been approached for comment. Not surprisingly, they and their lawyers have not made a comment. Okay, so that's just the overview, and that's in one of the articles that I read about it, and I'll link a couple of the articles down below as well. So in this video, I wanted to talk about the so-called Hermes game, because that's what the plaintiffs are alleging in the lawsuit, that there is an Hermes game. Now, I am coming to this from the perspective of somebody who has absolutely no experience of this whatsoever. I have never walked into Hermes and inquired about purchasing a Birkin or a Kelly, a quota bag or any other bag, to be honest. The Hermes bags are not bags for me. And so I've never had that experience. I have purchased from Hermes. I've bought a couple of things in store. I've bought online, never ever with the intention of creating a purchase history. The sorts of things I've bought include a pair of Aran sandals, perfume, makeup, a couple of homeware items, my special order Bastia that was ordered on the website, and a leather bracelet. That is it. So you might be asking, what qualifies you to talk about it, being as you have no experience? But that is exactly what I wanted to talk about, the fact I have no experience. So as somebody with no experience, how do I know there is an Hermes game? Is there an Hermes game? or is it just an urban myth? Now stay with me on this. Hermes doesn't come out and admit there's a game, i.e. you have to buy all these other things in order to get offered a Birkin. My understanding and knowledge of this so-called game is purely from social media, from influencers, from Instagrammers, from YouTubers, from people in Facebook groups, from people in handbag forums. That's where I kind of get all my information and knowledge about this Hermes game. And the thing that strikes me the most is that everybody's story seems to be different. So if there is a game, it doesn't appear to be a consistent game, and it doesn't seem to have a set of rules that lead to a particular outcome. And that's really what I wanted to talk about. So I've certainly seen my fair share of YouTubers and others telling me that I need to build up this purchase history if I have any chance of getting a Birkin, and that I need to show loyalty to the brand and buy all these items from other categories. So when I've heard this, I've always viewed it as quite an unethical strategy for a company to adopt. And now we're veering into my personal opinion. So everything I say on the rest of this video is my personal opinion, you know, and obviously everything in the lawsuit is alleged. So I'm just talking about my opinion, which has been forged from all these things I've heard from different people. So as I said, I've always viewed that as fairly unethical. I understand if that is a strategy that they adopt, why they do it, because it obviously makes these bags very exclusive and very hard to get, and that's what they want them to be. However, I have seen a lot of YouTubers who actually defend that strategy and agree with it, and obviously that's their prerogative, they are able to do that. I've also seen, for example, one YouTuber in defense of the strategy saying that not only do I have to buy these other items, I have to really like them as well. And what she said was, if you're the sort of person that doesn't really like these other items that Hermes produce, then maybe the Birkin or the Kelly is not a bag for you. And I kind of thought, oh, so, you know, I don't just have to buy them, I have to really like them. And if I don't like them, I'm not really worthy of having a Birkin or a Kelly, even if that's the only thing I might like from Hermes. So I thought that was quite quite an extreme defence of the strategy, because I think of all the brands that I buy products from that I like, and there are some brands that I only like one product, and I think it very bizarre that I should be denied access to or barred from purchasing the one product I like because I happen to not like their other products. I think it's very rare that you like all the products that a particular brand produces. But as I say, that was somebody very much in defence of the strategy, and I have, as I say, come across other people on forums, in Facebook groups, who do very much defend that strategy, and that is obviously their opinion. So then I go on to think, okay, well, if that's the strategy, that's the game I have to play, that's what I have to do, I have to buy all these other items in order to be offered a Birkin. But then I'm told, well, actually, you could do all of that, but you still might not get offered your Birkin or your Kelly. So then I think, okay, so I can play the game, but I have no reassurance that I will actually get my bag at the end of it. Now, I've seen some comments on people's videos that say, well, you know, what's the big deal? It's just a bag. Oh, you know, it's ridiculous. Nobody's forcing you to do this. Nobody's forcing you to buy the other stuff to get the bag. And I completely agree with that, because that's how I feel. However, I do understand that not everybody feels like that. If you're somebody who wants the bag, then you do care, and you do want to know how to go about getting the bag. So I completely understand that if you're somebody who wants it, that this does matter to you. And it's easy for people who don't want the bag, who have no interest in it, to say, oh, you know, nobody's forcing you, it doesn't matter. If you want to get a Birkin or a Kelly and you'd like to get it via the store, then, you know, it's useful to know the best way of going about doing that. And this is where I just see so many inconsistent stories. There are plenty of people out there who have managed to get their Birkin or their Kelly, their quota bag, without playing any game, without a purchase history. Now, admittedly, it did seem here in the UK to be a little bit easier to do that just after the lockdown, and I can only assume that's because there were maybe a few more Birkins and Kellys available. Not there's ever going to be an excess of them, but there were perhaps a few more available because the stores had been shut. They were keen to sell them to get revenue up, and it was a bit easier, I felt at the time, to be able to get a Birkin or a Kelly with no purchase history. Certainly there were lots of people in my Facebook groups who were getting offers with no purchase history, and there were a good fair few YouTubers that were getting offers without a purchase history. Admittedly, I think nowadays, a few years on, it is a little bit harder, and again in those same Facebook groups I'm seeing more and more people complaining that they're waiting a lot longer, that they're having to renew their wish list, it's expiring, they're doing it again, it's expiring, and they're having to keep doing it, and there's no offer in sight for them. So obviously circumstances at the time perhaps affect that, but having said that, there still do seem to be a smattering of people out there who've been able to acquire a quota bag, and they do not have a purchase history or a really significant purchase history. I have to say that I do enjoy watching the success stories. There are plenty of success stories on YouTube, and I do enjoy watching people unbox their Birkins and their Kellys and hearing the story of how they got them. I'll just say a couple of stories I really enjoyed was, again, Lisa from Luxury and Life in the Middle. When I first discovered her channel, I went back to some of her earlier videos and I watched her Hermes story videos, and they really were interesting. I was glued to them. I really enjoyed them. I loved it when Dayle got her Birkin. I was in the chat group that she was messaging, and she said to us, I've just been offered a Birkin, you know, and it was just a fantastic story. Now admittedly, I know their stories took place in Paris, and again things are seemingly different in Paris because it's a different situation there, and they were to do with appointments and so on and so forth, and you've got this lottery style appointment process in Paris. But even so, around the rest of the world, there are still plenty of success stories that I've watched of people who've got their Birkins and their Kellys, and they have lots of different stories to tell. And again, it does seem to be inconsistent in various countries. It seems to be that in parts of the US and maybe Australia, because they don't get so many bags sent out to them, there's more competition, it is harder to get one, and there is again allegedly a requirement to have this purchase history. But then there's also plenty of stories of people who've got purchase histories, who've spent a lot of money, and they haven't got their offer. They're still waiting. It's never materialised. So it just seems to be, as I said, extremely inconsistent. I've seen on social media that these inconsistencies can be down to SAs, that it also very much depends on the relationship you have with your SA, whether your SA likes you or not, and that the managers also have obviously a big involvement in terms of who gets a bag. So it depends on how hard your SA is fighting for you, whether you have a good relationship with the manager as well, you know, all these different things. And I've also heard that some SAs have actually told their clients what they need to spend and what on. But again, with that, everybody's story seems to be different. The amount is different, what you need to buy is different, etc. And so for me, all these inconsistencies, all these stories are looking like the game isn't just about purchase history, it's down to other factors as well. It's whether Hermes deem you worthy to purchase one of their bags, whether they feel that you are a good representative of their brand, so they will sell you one of their bags. And to me, that is so subjective. And that's what makes this whole game, this whole situation around Hermes very, very murky. There's no transparency, and I'm surprised that this lawsuit hasn't come sooner, to be honest. I think what it all shows is, yes, potentially there is a game, but it's not necessarily the game we think it is. We don't really know the rules, and we don't know what the outcome will be, which to me isn't a fun game. It can be quite a stressful game, and you know, a game where you're taking quite a lot of risk. So yeah, this lawsuit, I don't know whether there's merit in it. I've heard speculation that there'll either be no case to answer, or it will be settled out of court. Obviously we just have to keep an eye on it and see what happens. What it also leads me on to wonder is about the other brands, because obviously the other brands push for exclusivity as well, and most of them seem to do this purely by price. They keep hiking up the price, so it makes their products more exclusive and only available to those that can afford them. However, I've also heard rumours of Chanel kind of going into this territory of a purchase history, where I have heard people being told that they can't potentially purchase a classic flap unless they have a purchase history. Again, that is alleged, it's just rumours I've heard. But if Chanel is veering into that territory, are they going to open themselves up to lawsuits as well now? Where does it end? There obviously also is VIP customers, and we know that, you know, with many of the brands, if you're a big spender, you're one of their best clients, you will get offered the limited edition pieces, you will get offered the new pieces, the hard to get pieces first before anybody else, because you are being rewarded for being a high spender. You know, going forward, does that open some of the brands up to this sort of thing as well? Because are they showing favoritism to people who have bought other products first? I don't know. I'm just musing. I'm just thinking to myself, you know, sometimes things like this can open the floodgates. Whether, you know, future lawsuits have merit or not, it still might get people thinking about pushing back on some of these luxury brands, because we've seen a lot of people complaining about the practices of these luxury brands for a while. Is it, you know, something now where people will start pushing back? Just wondering. I'd be interested to know what you think. So ultimately, I am extremely confused as to what this Hermes game is. I think, as I say, there are so many different stories out there about the best thing to do, so much inconsistency that, you know, I'm coming to the end of my video now and I'm none the wiser. I wouldn't know the best way of going about getting a bag. Is there an Hermes game or not? I don't know. If there is, I really don't know the best way to play it. And if I play it in a way that most people tell me to play it, I am by no means guaranteed to get the outcome that I want. So that's my thoughts. What do you think? I would be really interested to know your experiences and to know what you think about all this. Please let me know down in the comments. This was a really interesting video to film for the second time. I hope I've got my points across. You know, as I say, my thoughts, my opinions, coming from the perspective of somebody who has not experienced the Hermes game. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you ever so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you on the next one. Bye everyone.